Hello, hello, Rhoda here. Welcome to my craft room. Today we're working on more of the Junk Journal January. I'm going to do two more today, reveal and fabric. So I've got a little idea for that. I've got some things out on my desk. I have to pull my paper out first. We're going to work on this side of the page today. I really love how that turned out. I'm just crazy about that. I'm going to have to do that technique more often. And it really comes out with the dark ink that I put on there, and then that rub-on that I also used. Okay, this is what we need. I'm going to show you what we're using today, and then I've got my big scrapbook to start showing. So we're going to use some gift tissue. I'm going to have that as my whole background. And then the idea is reveal and fabric. So this is going to be on the background. I've got a stamp here from Lorna at Tailor Made Journals. It's like a Paris Grand Hotel, and I'm just going to have that as the background. I think it's going to be in black, but I'm going to emboss it so it'll be kind of shiny. And then the fabric part comes in. I'm going to use this Tim Holtz lady, and I'm going to have actually lace. It's not fabric, but I think I can cheat. But I've got all of these pieces. These came from a hat that I disassembled that my mother had given me. And all these little pieces as well came off of the hat. Got little sequins on them. Someone gave me this. I don't know if it was Jody or Victoria, but they sent me this gorgeous, gorgeous sheer fabric. And I'm going to try to put that up through there somehow to decorate her. And then I got this gold cord that was from something long ago, tying up a little gift or something. And I'm going to see about putting a little bow on here. And then this is going to be kind of down at the bottom, sort of like this. And okay, so you got my general idea there. Now, let me see if I can get out this humongous book to show you, because it is quite large, let me tell you. And I can't remember where I got the actual cover, and it's kind of messy. It's got stains on it, but it's got like a plastic wrapped cover, and it's fabric underneath. And I loved how all that was engraved in the metal. And then I made my little Markham family scrapbook collected by Rhoda Markham Burks. I was Burks at that time, so yeah. I think I threw it together in 1990, after 1998, I suppose. Now, I have a few things in here that I actually have a second one of these that I've luckily found. So I'm going to be expanding this at some point in time. This is my dad's little sister, and I've got a place on my Facebook that I've got family obituaries, so that a lot of them are on there as well. I kind of got them spread all out. Now, I went and I was drawing. You know how I am with the drawing. So I drew my grandmother's old house. It still stands over there. This was the place they actually owned. And it was after my grandfather had died. And this is where my dad grew up later years, his teen years, I guess you could say. But I put in all the windows, which room was what, where each piece of furniture sat. This is where a lot of the cousins used to sleep when they went to stay with Grandma. She had an old rock cellar that was in the ground, halfway in the ground, and there's a few pictures we have with that. I think this was her regular garden, and her second husband always wanted a cornfield, so there was a cornfield over here, the smokehouse, the potato garden, the woodshed and the pig pen, the outhouse, way back there. And Sharp, that was his doggy. He was crazy about Sharp. And then there was the barn. So I just thought that was kind of neat to do that. This was like one of my first sketches. I was trying to get in my head exactly where everything was, and I was talking to different people. I think I was hunting for information on Grover Cleveland Markham. Okay, I think I was looking for if my grandfather had served. I know I found a World War I draft card that he filled out, but that doesn't always mean that they had served. It doesn't mean that. Now, this is his half-brother, Wayne, and this is the Logan Banner over in West Virginia. And they said he was a rounder. Is that how they termed it? But he was always moving and had different women and stuff like that. I never could find any obituaries for my for my grandfather or for my grandmother's parents. And I guess they just did not make them. Now here was Grandpa's death certificate. So, you know, who was filling it out? You always, when you get a death certificate, especially an older one, you always look at who the informant was, because that's how accurate this information is going to be. Now, Kurt Kazee, he married the oldest daughter, Anne Elizabeth. So he was there in the family, and he was still nearby at this point, because this was when they lived in Goshen. And he actually, Grandpa went over to live with them in Healing Springs because it was closer to the hospital. And he wasn't doing well at that time. He had myocarditis, which is an inflammation of the heart muscle. That's part of my what do you call it? My medical assisting. So myo is muscle, card or cardio is heart, and itis is inflammation. So I know what he had. Then he always had chronic nephritis, and that's kidney problems or something. So yeah. So I mean, he has the names of his parents perfect, where he was born. He didn't quite know how old he was, and that's always been a bone of contention to try to figure out his exact birth date. So anyway, I have like 3 records that I can go by, and each one is different. Oh, okay. So here we go. Here is, and I hate that it's shiny, but this here is my oldest person going back, Josiah Markham. There's no photos of him. This is where he's buried. He's a single grave over in Jenny's Creek, which is the creek we're working on now. And he was the Markham that went over there and started all of these other Markham lines, because he had 8 to 10 sons, something like that. Everybody was going to his grave to get a picture. This is Vernia. She was a descendant. That's me. I'm a descendant. This is, I think they were the Maynards, Jennings and Elizabeth Maynard. They were descendants. So he had kids and stuff everywhere. This is Mr. Harry Markham. He's who we would always go to see over in Ashland, Kentucky. And he was, he had been researching 15 years before me. He was born the same year as my dad. And at this time, there were trees along the side of his grave. And there isn't when I was over there, so it's changed over time. Now, this is Herbie Dawson. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to bend it to where you don't have the glare. But Herbie Dawson is the one who helped us figure out what line of Markhams we came from. And then here is oh, this is his brother, Richard Dawson, and then a friend. Okay, so this was just a little collection of all the photos over time of his grave. And then I guess I was doing something with his timeline. I came up with stuff where he was, all the records that and sources that were found each year of his life whenever we were able to. Now, I signed up for the Y-DNA. I think that's what this is. Yeah. And we only matched each other. This is a 37 marker kit that I got. Now, I got Harry's DNA done. I got Dad's DNA done. And then Carl Markham is Dad's second cousin, but Harry's first cousin, I think. And it's kind of confusing. There's certain markers in here where it's red. Those are mutating markers. So they're going to change. Now, see, Harry and Carl have the same one. So, and then Harry has one different here because he comes down from another line. They shared grandfathers or grandparents, I think. But then Dad's, his is different here, but he's the same as Carl. So it's really weird. Now the thing is there though, with Carl, that's the thing. His grandmother, Idabelle Salmons, was my grandmother's sister. So that is another reason why we're closer than he is with Harry on this number. So, and then there was other Markhams that had been, this was way back, so it's changed a whole lot since then. There's been more people that's joined and that kind of thing. Now, back in the day, there was a lot of different places that you could go and start a family tree or stuff like that. MyFamily.com was one of them. I never had anything there, but Zane Perry, he did. Now, he was sort of close to me. He was like over on the West Virginia side, in Hinton, I think it's called, Hinton, West Virginia. But this old photo was found behind another photo, and it was probably put like above the wood stove on a mantle or something, and all the soot and everything had collected and scratched off, and all the rubbing and dusting and stuff had almost taken all the facial value away from this photo. But it's thought that that was John C. Markham. And that's whose line that I come from. He's the son of Josiah. So as you can see, I'm going down. I'm going with my furthest back, and I'm kind of working my way forward. Now, John C. Markham, he was a circuit rider minister. He was also a farmer. Now, circuit rider minister means that he would ride a horse and go from either town to town, locally, or house to house, and he might do a little preaching and stuff and marrying and stuff like that, where the people didn't have to go away from the farm and farming, which was the way they stayed alive, you know. So I have this church here. It's the anniversary of a church, and it was an article in a 1933 Wayne County News. And he was the one to start this church, Silver Creek Baptist Church. Now, there's these two, I'll probably stop with him, but there's these two headstones that Carl over here, his brother, Donnie Ray, he made all these headstones of all of his, line going back and placed them in all these cemeteries. Well, it doesn't exactly mean that those dates are correct, or like her maiden name is correct, because she's actually a Stevenson. So anyhow, it's like it's like how you interpret the sources and the information is what you come up with. Like the reason that he had her as Clorinda Copley Markham is because there is a write-up in a history book of Logan County, and it's telling about Josiah coming in and all of his children, and then it listed like so-and-so, like John C. married a Miss Copley. That's how they phrased it. So that's where everybody took the name from the census, which you're finding John C. with Clorinda on one or two censuses, and they're putting her as Clorinda Copley. Yet, there is only this group of Markhams that came into that one area, and they all married in Floyd County, Kentucky. And all of the Josiah's sons and daughters mostly married right down there. And there is a John Markham that married a Clorinda Stevenson, or a Clove Stevenson. So that's where I'm getting that she was actually a Stevenson. So, okay, there's a little bit of history for you and a little bit of story time. But I want to thank everybody for coming by to visit, and we're going to get everything set up here, and we're going to figure out what I need to do first. I think the first thing I need to do is to attach the background. So let's get everything kind of pushed to the side and get that worked on. All right, I'm going to use my Tombow glue to put me a background of glue down on here. And then I'm going to put like a bead of Barely Arts around the outside, and that'll secure it down pretty nice. Now, with Josiah Markham's grave, there's a few stories that go along with it. Now, from what I know, he is my 4th times great-grandfather. I think that's how it worked out for me. And it's like I got a bunch of J's. So it's my grandfather, and then he was Grover Cleveland Markham. My dad is Grover Cleveland Jr., then it's Grover Cleveland Markham Sr., and then William Markham, who's Cotton Hill Bill, and then his dad was Joshua Markham, and then it's John C. Markham, and then it's Josiah. But so that my dad, granddad, great, 1, 2, 3, 4 greats. Yeah, I had that right. So that's how you have to look at all that. And yes, with his grave, so he was actually buried either beside or one of the buildings of the Yellow Poplar Lumber Company actually went over top of his grave at one point. Now, this is a lumber company that came up through Jenny's Creek, and they had their own little railroad tram system, whatever you would like to call it, that went up the creek, and it would carry back, I'm trying to get this straight, it would carry back logs and things back to the site, and they would mill them out. Gosh, I'm still going bad on this. They would mill them out or splash dam them down to the mouth of the creek out into the Tug Fork and take them up to Catlettsburg, Kentucky. Now, a splash dam was where they would make a dam itself, and then they would get all of the items like logs and things. They would use like a branding iron, so they knew whose logs were what once they got down to the place that they were going to be sold and shipped off or railroaded off, whatever. So anyhow, they would make a little dam, they would collect enough logs, then they would knock the dam out, and then they would have it float all the way down after they had gotten their quota or however they were looking at that. I think I'm going to go right underneath here. And then I can save that for something else a little later. And this is a little bit too wide, so I'm going to trim here as well. So also, they were said to have been a baby grave or two that was beside him at one point. Well, that must have disappeared over time, because at one time there was a bad flood over there. Now, I don't know when that was, but this was told to me by Herbie. He was that local historian I showed you a photo of there by the grave. And yes, he said that at one point there had been so much water there, and it was rushing and going downstream so bad that Josiah, his stone, and him and his casket went down the creek. They said that they could only find his stone because it was so heavy and it sunk, but they never They never found Josiah's. He was going down to Catlettsburg. Oh, gosh. So, you hear all these stories and you don't know what to believe, if it's true, because this was like a story that had been passed down and that kind of thing. So, it's just one of those that you have to take with a grain of salt until you find more information to back it up. Well, it's kind of fun though. Now there's been stories that I've been told over time that I have been piecing together, and you won't find an answer or another piece to that puzzle until years later. You won't. Now there's that little bit that I've been putting together. Now I put some of my Versamark clear glycerin ink on here, and then we're going to put this down, and we're going to use that fine black to make this stand out. I figured since she has a lot of dark elements around her, it might be kind of neat to have the dark elements here. I had thought to go with gold, but then my background is gold, so I wasn't sure what would work best here. So I thought the black would do a better job for me. Yeah, but Josiah must have owned that land all around there at one point in time. And their family cemetery, not Josiah's, but where Joshua and a lot of his children and stuff are buried, is down the road. And that was the Williamson Cemetery. And, yeah, it has a lot of my family there. Okay. There we go. So I have to go over here and I'm going to have to be gentle with how I'm doing this. Heat embossing because of this background, the paper. All right, and I'm going to wipe this glycerin off of here with my little makeup wipe. I like these makeup wipes. Now, I've showed them to you before. You get them at Walmart for 96 cents. You get 30 of them. They're very gentle. That's why I always went with them. Because I know if they're gentle enough for your face, they're going to be gentle enough for your stamps. So I'll have to leave that over to dry. Now I'm going to go over there and heat emboss this. You can't quite see it, but there's like a little vine that goes up through here. It's almost like it's what do you call it? A postcard? Yeah. But there's a couple of little birds there, but that one didn't quite make it. Okay, so here's what we got. It wasn't too bright, and I wiped a little bit of it off, but that's okay. I'm just wanting it, and it's kind of rustic looking, that's fine. Because she has to go down next, and see, she's going to be covering up that one little bird that didn't do too well. So that's going to go there, and then this will go over top of her and try to hide. Well, I'm going to have other things on top of it. I did want to try to use these little things, like this little netting here, and this little bit of sheer, because that's part of the reveal part. It's revealing her to the outside eye. That's where I was going with the idea here. So I'm thinking to crumple it up and having it kind of like right over there, like that. That's good. I don't know that I'm going to need this part, though. I may save that. I'm trying to figure out what to use that for. So let's get our fabric tack out. And we're going to go ahead and start putting this down. Now, this bit here, I don't think I'm going to have to worry too much about putting it, except for on the front and back. And then I'm going to take my little silicone spatula, which you can get all... This is from Unique, but you've got these little makeup spatulas that you can get in the Dollar Tree and such, so you don't have to spend a lot of money on them. You could maybe even get like a little spatula in the cooking department, even if you wanted to go that route. Now I'm going to go ahead and see about putting some glue on here. But yeah, I've got some deeds over there. I've even got this one deed. It's kind of like a treasured deed of mine, where it's got Joshua, John C., and Josiah all on the same deed. I love that. I just love that. So it's got all of my J's there together. I thought it was kind of cool. I'll put a little bit of glue right there. Hopefully you won't be able to see it so badly. Ugh, it's sticking to my finger. And then I'm going to put that down right there. And then that's where this little baby's going to come back in here, and I'm going to start pushing down. Ooh. I may have to trim this edge over here. I've got a little bit that's hanging over. Who knows? It may be all right. But yeah, any of y'all that's ever wanted to do your family tree, I got a book in the library about it, and it had all these different forms in there, because you're supposed to be able to do your family tree, or your, what did they call it? The family group sheet. There we go. There's a family group sheet. Now that's where you have the, how did it go? The parents are at the top. There we go. The parents are at the top. And then what you're going to do is have the ability to put in their parents in a certain spot, their marriages, if they had more than the one, and then you have the ability to put down below all the children. And then you have a space there for their spouses and their birth, death, and marriages, and that kind of stuff. So it's very interesting on how to put all that kind of stuff together. You also have a correspondence log. Like back in my day, I was writing to people, and it wasn't like you could just out of the blue, email them or something. No, it was different. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. Maybe I've got a few pieces right here. I was trying to get the one vine going through here. I got a few of those little things. I don't know if I can use those for something. I don't want to cover up Paris. I'm trying to figure out the better way to go with this. Now I can probably do it about like that. And this little piece could get cut off, and I could maybe put it over here. Let's do that. But yeah, I did correspondence, and that not only was it 2 people in particular, but it was also 2 places when I was looking for births and deaths and marriages. If I didn't go there myself, which that's my preference, was to go to the courthouse, and look myself, see what was there. I didn't like the courthouses that only had deeds and marriages. I like the ones that had your births and deaths in it as well. And a lot of, the Wayne County one, West Virginia ones, you can get a lot of your information over there pretty easy. Okay, was it going like that? I believe it was. I got that little bit hanging over. Oh. Okay. Oops, that's right. I have this I can push stuff down with. Yeah, I love this vine. I've put it on several things before, and it's always got such a beautiful look to it. I'm not crazy about that. Let me put a little bit of glue. I need to put a little bit of glue somewhere because this wrinkle is sticking up and aggravating me. So let me see if that does the trick. It's still It's still doing its own thing. Let me put a little bit more there. I'm going to probably cover it with one of these sequiny things that I've got over here as well, because I've still got that to use, and this, a little piece here. Oops, I might even have something in my drawer. I don't know. What's in here? I've got some ribbon, but that's about the only thing I got in there that's going to go with this color scheme. All right. Oh, now this one, I really don't have to put that down there, do I? Maybe I'll put it up here. No, I'll save it. I can do something else with it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this down here. Let's see. I got this with a little curly Q on it. Yeah, I like that. Okay, because I like that little curly Q coming up through there. So let's do that. It's like she's coming out from behind a little cloud. Like a little cloud of fabric. Let's see, what other thing? Okay, you've heard of a pedigree chart. That's the thing that looks like it's kind of like a fan, I guess you would say. It starts with you over on the left, and then you're going to fill in all your parents and their information, and then you build off of that, and you go a little further by doing both of their parents, and it just goes on and on and on. And I was never able to get that far with mine. I had when I first started doing it, a girl in North Carolina, when I was working down at the college, she was in a couple of my classes. I can't even remember her name, but she was a real good friend. And she gave me a pedigree chart to bring home to fill out. It was so pitiful. I got my grandmother and grandfather's name, of course, for Dad's side, because that was his parents. He remembered them. But then he only knew a little bit about his dad's father, who was Cotton Hill Bill. And that's about all we had. Didn't have much at all. Yep, I think I'm going to go ahead and put that one down there as well. I want this to be pretty. Every once in a while, I'll get in a mood to do shabby chic. So that's when I started digging. When I came home, me and my brother went over to Logan County, West Virginia. I don't know why. I thought I had to go to Logan County. But, yeah, that was not very successful. That was the wrong county, because they were from Wayne County, the lower part. So, anyhow, fun. Oh, did I not? I didn't even glue her down, did I? Did I glue her down? Because her head is not gluing, or... All right, I'll just do that and see if that'll hold her down. I got to talking and I didn't even think to glue her. Okay, I think she's good. All right, that's our look today, everybody. we have reveal and fabric. And let me get over here so I can circle those two. I got one more, and I have an idea on what I'm going to sort of do with it, so that will be in a day or two. I've got 2 other challenges to do. I've got the C in my alphabet challenge to do, and I've got an idea for that. I have the full deck challenge. I have 2 of those to do. I have dark green, and then I have a light blue with a fly free idea for the next ones. All right. So everybody, you take care. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I had to do here. It was another slightly simple one, but I think it's really pretty. Look at all the sparkle in that vine. And the sequins don't hurt either. I've got pearls. So you've got a lot of pretties on here. I would like to get that little piece to stick down a little better. So I think it's doing good. All right, everyone. Well, everybody take care. All my subscribers and viewers. I appreciate you coming by. And I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.